10, 9, 8, 7, and 6.
Like, to
And
give you an
then
example, I had a class of 600. I had a smaller class. It was a class of like 600 to 800 when we graduated. Hey, Mudrabbit.
Hello. I
Good
figured
night.
we just make it ladies' night.
You
They
ain't
said
wrong.
pretty princess.
Huh?
They named me a pretty princess over on April's stream one night. So, yeah, I'm going to be one of the girls now, I guess.
the pretty princess.
Who's one of the girls?
Jade.
Apparently, I am.
No, you're the host. You're the host.
No, I was saying over on April's stream, they dubbed me the pretty princess.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah. So I'm allowed to be one of the girls sometimes.
Just one of the gals. That's okay. I've been one of the guys before, so I'm usually in my group here. I'm one of the guys.
Yes.
Well, I'm surrounded by men. All my girlfriends have moved away.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I just like male
Mom, how are the
relationships.
cats?
What was that?
How are the cats?
Oh, she's fine. She's a little pissed because now we have 3 more cats, and she's not
Bella's
happy.
bossing everyone around.
Yeah, she's not exactly happy about it.
Oh no.
Well, she was feral, and she had never got socialized, so she's having a tough time dealing with the other 3. But other than that, nothing exciting. I just spent 2 weeks emptying my storage container.
Oh,
What a
that's not
mess.
fun.
Oh God, no! It was a 10 by 10. And
Oh no.
last Sunday was my birthday, and I just kept working, unloading all right through it.
Canadian guys smell bad.
There's nothing wrong with guys.
Canadian,
Yeah.
why don't you join us?
I grew up a tomboy. I always played with the boys. The girls are boring. They play
And
with
the girls
dolls.
too.
Honest to God, they played with dolls. I wasn't interested in dolls.
I always
Really?
thought people that were like really comfortable in their own skin, like they were always better with the opposite sex growing up than they were with same sex, and they always fought with the same sex more. Like any like I don't know if girls feel this way. Like I didn't have a lot of guy friends. I was closer with girls. I had like maybe 2 really close guy friends growing up, and then every other one I was like competitive with, and then I feel like some girls are the same way. They think all girls are bitches and they have more guy friends.
No, well, I don't know. My best friends are all girls,
That's
but
good.
but there's not a lot of them anymore. But I was more comfortable working with men because of feels. When you work with women, you always got to consider their emotions are going to get in the way, and they do. And I'm not being sexist saying this. I'm doing this because this has been my experience. You work with women and you got to deal with all their emotional BS. You work with men, they have no problem talking straight to you. And now they're trying to get men to stop doing that by accusing them of mansplaining. But no,
Yeah.
when you work with men, there are fewer questions because they come straight to the point. Women are generally worried about hurting everybody's feelings, so they kind of tiptoe around and ask people, do this, please do a favor for me. It's like bullshit. You're the boss, tell them, do this. And some employees had a problem with it, but it wasn't anything I couldn't work through. It's just I found it much
There's definitely a
easier.
balance to it though, because like I've dealt with some guys that are like, and I think it's a fair analogy, but women take it wrong, and
Yeah.
I understand why. Like I always get the analogy that women are spaghetti and that men are waffles because of the square compartments and everything's compartmentalized and in a certain spot. And women are spaghetti because you can grab this from over here and this from over here, and it'll all come up at the same time.
Well, that's because
And
that's how we think. We think
yeah,
we
but
are spatial thinkers. We have to think of many things at one time, and men think of A to B.
yeah, but I don't know if it's like a bad characteristic. I think women take it as a bad characteristic
No,
instead of
it's not.
thinking of
It's
it as a
not.
strength.
We have two generations of women who weren't educated properly. There are two little booklets that I encourage everybody to read. One is called Men Are From Mars, and the other one is Women Are From Venus. They're quick reads, they're little tiny booklets. Women don't think like men. We don't. Men think in a straight line, women think in several different directions at the same time.
There's
Denise
also
says,
another
I get
thing.
along better with. Say that,
Which is
Noah?
why I prefer working with men when I worked, was because in the job that I worked, I was way too busy to stop and talk about anything. I had to be on the floor. I had to be supervising. So it's easier to work with somebody who you can ask a question and they can answer it with one sentence rather than a whole damn paragraph.
Right.
I don't want to know your reasons why. Just give me the answer. I got work to do, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
And that's why I didn't like working with women. But my two best friends are women.
Yeah, Denise said I get along with men better than women. Women are catty.
Yeah, they are. They do. And there's been so many times I've had to chase girls out of the side station because they're too busy standing there gossiping and not paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. But hey, I'm retired now, so I don't have to worry about that anymore.
I don't know. I still don't know how even in the last two generations that you were talking about with the way women grew up. How did that turn into a generation of women that just absolutely hate men and don't need men around and
They're
think
indoctrinated. They're indoctrinated by either liberal parents or a liberal system where they're being educated, like college, or probably both. I mean, I see where there are instances that I tried to teach my son certain values and recognized that people around me had no idea to teach their children those values. We've had a generation, what is it, the Gen Xers have raised their kids softer. You know, instead of making them stand up for their consequences for their actions, they've been all about protecting their children. I mean, you
which is
see it.
weird. Which is weird because when it comes to the boys, it actually
Yeah.
generated one of the most conservative young men groups in the last 30 years, probably. Like if you look at the way that young men are voting these days, they're actually voting more towards conservative values, and it's weird because
Certain
it
demographics are,
makes.
yeah.
But think about it; it makes sense if you grew up in a family where your mom does. I mean, these are the kids that grew up and their mom might have an OnlyFans, and
Yeah.
they might have had to go to school and deal with their kids talking about their parents or something's
Shut
online
up.
presence. Like I couldn't imagine something like that, and that would
I
make me
can't
have
either.
more conservative views growing up. And same with the overreach of what they see in social media,
Yeah, I think you have something there because my mother was a liberal, very much a liberal.
and she was probably raised by religious.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep. They swing the other way.
exactly. And that's what, and it makes sense to me why they're the most conservative group we've had in the last 30 years. We're gonna get a bunch of Ben Shapiro's because of it.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's what it's gonna be.
You know he's autistic, right?
Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to be.
Yeah.
There's
He's
no
very,
way.
very talented. He's very talented. I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
him play violin.
Oh
And
yeah, I heard him play violin when he was like 13. He played
yeah.
the song Schindler's List in front of the guy from 60 Minutes.
Yep.
He came out on stage. He looks exactly the same. He's had that same baby face his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been following a lot of I don't know how much of this you've been following. So, and I don't even know. Well, I guess I'm not responsible for anything I say about them. Not Gay Jared from Louder with Crowder had signed an NDA and is now working with Steven Crowder's ex-wife in order to try to take him down. And so they're now suing Not Gay Jared because he broke his NDA. And like there's a bunch of this stuff that's going down like right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
What were we just talking about? It ties it. I was gonna tie that into the two of them. I
I
forgot what it
don't
was.
know enough about that dynamic to make any judgment on it, but Crowder's got something going on in the background that's not too savory, obviously.
Well,
Um,
and he was really public about it. So it's interesting the stuff that they released. Um, it's actually coming off really fishy on the other side, like with
yeah,
not gay Jared and the wife. It looks like they're almost like corrupting to try to take him down.
yeah. Well,
And she happens to be releasing a book at the same time called like What Changed My Mind, and like she's playing off of, I don't know, she's playing off of the whole thing. She
yeah,
tried to make him get rid of his adopted dog. There was that ring camera footage that was released that
yeah.
made Steven look bad, and
I
then
saw that.
another 800 hours was deleted by her, including the 15 minutes before and after that ring one that was released. She now hired the attorney to represent her that represented that went against that baseball player that had
Yeah,
false accusations against him recently, and now he's no longer in the Major League Baseball and still hasn't signed to a team. Famous attorney that just lost a huge case because he fabricated evidence in that case as well that he presented, and now they might already have proof that he's fabricating evidence inside of Steven Crowder's case. And yeah, it's
okay.
pretty
The way
interesting.
I the way I see it is Steven Crowder was coming out with information that the powers that be would rather not come out.
Mhm.
He's also a patriot. He's also pro gun.
Oh, wait, time out. Sorry.
All of this.
I just remembered where I was going to tie all that in. So, out of nowhere, Not Gay Jared just got sued because of all this stuff. And he reached out online and was like, "Hey, I'm starting to GoFundMe to get support for my court fees." And Ben Shapiro came out and donated a bunch of money against Steven Crowder. That's what I was
Right.
tying in with because we had brought up Ben Shapiro.
Well, in my opinion, Ben Shapiro's a Zionist.
Yeah. Did you see the leaked? Did
Yeah.
you see the leaked footage of was it a drone attack from Israel on some civilians in Gaza, some kids?
But it's happening all the time. That's just one that you saw.
That's the one that Edward Snowden just recently released.
Right.
And well, because people were under the impression that Israel was just defending itself, and they were just going after terrorists.
Okay, let me explain something. My heart bleeds for the innocents that get killed in this, but we've lost family.
Wait. Oh,
We have lost
before
family
we jump into this, like caveat to YouTube, I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway, and we're just giving our opinions on it.
Yeah, it's just all our opinions, and I have a personal opinion I can share because I've lost family to the PLO. These people, I don't know what it is, but it's the reason that the other Muslim countries will not absorb them. They're troublemakers. They have always been troublemakers. When they were in Lebanon, they made such a mess of the country. They killed my husband's cousin, and then they killed his wife. And then, you know who my brother-in-law was. We have a feeling that they had something to do with that, with a heart attack gun. These people are troublemakers. No matter where they go, they demand all kinds of things for themselves, yet they will not work for it. They will not work for it. They will take it.
Well, the strangest thing is if you look at, sorry, I thought I heard music. The strangest thing is if you look at it, all of these places were funded by one branch of the U.S. at some point.
Yeah,
Like
well,
they
Obama's
were
responsible
not a
for
branch of the
ISIS.
U.S. as much as one of the agencies was eventually like funneling something in, whether it was
Yeah.
weapons, whether it was money, whether it was support. We were doing it either through the CIA or the FBI trying to cover
Right.
some shit up. And now all of a sudden these things have flourished enough because we've always tried to fund the underdog to try to take out the leader.
No,
And in doing so,
Obama is a radical Muslim, and he's responsible for ISIS.
damn, it's a bold statement, Mudrabbit.
It's common knowledge. It is common knowledge. And anybody that does the research will see it because it's out there.
I mean, you could make the argument that people in his family are princes or princesses.
No, I don't argue that, but I do know he's a radical Muslim.
Where do you find the support for that?
The Anons, we've got all that information. We even have pictures. We posted them all on 4chan and 8chan and 8kun. There's a picture of him dressed in a keffiyeh, and he's holding a gun, firing at an American flag.
What about dietary wise? Has anybody ever seen him eat a pork chop or anything?
I don't know, but he talks about hot dogs, and we know he don't mean hot dogs.
He ain't talking about that kosher meat. Oh goodness.
So
Yeah.
Those are the things we can't talk about on there. But
Well,
no,
I always thought it was ironic that what's his name recently Pence couldn't get 13 people to show up to a pizza party, but
right.
Obama and them had a fucking field day setting up pizza parties.
Don't forget the funeral for George Bush Sr. Remember the letters that were given to them that shocked Laura Bush so badly and sent Hillary into enough of a tizzy to turn around and talk to the Bidens and show them? You remember that?
Yeah, and wasn't it right after that is when everybody went down to Antarctica for some fucking reason?
Yes.
And I was like, what is going on here?
Well, guess who got one of those letters in their program was Karen Pence.
Juju21 says, do a show on the upcoming Polygon event. What's that?
Upcoming Polygon. Oh, I got to remember. I got so much stuff going through my head right now, and my focus right now is in another.
Juju, tell us a little bit about the Polygon event. Fill us in a little bit.
Yeah, fill
Nice
us
to meet
in.
you, by the way. I actually just watched.
Anyway, back to the Palestinians. I've lost family. I've lost family to them. I've seen the destruction myself. I was there. I've smelled the dead bodies. So don't tell me that these people are poor and don't need anything. I know plenty of Palestinians who have left Gaza. There are a lot more of them that actually live in Israel as Israeli citizens, and they don't cause any problems whatsoever. The ones that are on the strip are the poorest of the poor. It's almost like a slum. And they constantly cause problems, and these are where the radicals are. This is where Hamas is. This is where all the old PLO people are, Palestinian Liberation Organization. That was run by Arafat back in the day. I've seen the destruction.
Arafat lost control of it back in the late 80s, though, right?
Yeah, but it just morphs. You've got Hamas. You've got
Hamas.
like three.
Why do you call it Hamas? Isn't it Hamas?
It's all Hamas. I mean, they've
It's all
got them
Haram
in
is what it
the
is.
government in Lebanon right now, and even the Lebanese citizens are not happy about it. My dad complains about it all the time. He goes, "We got to get Hamas and Hezbollah. They're wrecking everything. They're all radicals."
Yeah, but you have several fractions of radicals, and none of them are big enough to fully pull away at the moment. I think that's the biggest thing is when you have several groups of extremists that don't want to line up with each other, and they all want to be in power. That's where you get these power struggles.
Yeah, but they are aligned with each other. That's the problem.
To certain extents, but they would personally tell you, no, this is why I can't get along with this.
Well,
group.
that's what they tell you, but that's not the reality.
Yeah, they might have very similar ideologies. But they just don't want to. They just don't want to work with anybody else. It's
not that they don't want to work with everybody else. It's all about the jihad. And I wish my dad was still awake so I could have him come on and explain what that's all about, because he's Sunni Muslim. He's from Lebanon and he understands it better than I do. But it's all about the jihad with these extremist groups. It's all about the jihad. It has nothing to do with money beyond the point of supplying their troops. It's all